In this video, we're diving into a haunting case that begins with the sudden disappearance of a young woman and unravels into a tale of deceit, control, and cold-blooded murder. Let's get started. Search teams and volunteers. You've heard these two words together a lot in true crime cases. Well, young Anna was also a helper, and she and a few other people were looking over a huge, empty area in Marmari. She had a goal to reach. What interested people was a dry, never-ending place. In June, the sun was beating down on people who were walking in this remote area and poking around with sticks to find what they were looking for. As far as the eye could see, it was just sand, dried-out sticks, and twigs. There were a few trees in the distance, but that was all the shade there was. Anna got to a close tree that was full of twigs and branches. But this tree wasn't like other trees. A witness saw a man who looked very scared, carrying a bunch of thorny twigs at a very strange time from the same tree. The wind changed direction, while Anna was looking around in the pack of twigs. This made everything different. Anna could not get rid of that strong, rotten smell. After she called her partner, everything else was hard to remember. They saw it as the pile was taken away. The body of a woman was found. She was hurt so badly that not even her fingerprints could be used to identify her. The girl named Anastasia Patricia Rubinska was born in Poland in 1996. Adrian, her brother, said that Anastasia was a girl with lots of goals. She loved to travel, and her dream was to see the whole world one day. She also wanted to be a model. At this point, Anastasia did have a chance, but it was not easy. She had a long way to go before she could walk the runway and be on every poster. Between then and now, Anastasia finished high school, went to a beauty school in Poland, and then dropped out. Anastasia got a few small modeling jobs while she was in beauty school, which was kind of like living her dream. She often went to other countries because she worked as a hotel worker in 5-star resorts and restaurants all over the world. I don't know what her job was exactly, but she had to travel a lot, which made Anastasia very happy. Andrei, Anastasia's dad, said that his daughter was nice and friendly, but she seemed to trust everyone and believe that there were no bad people. It's great when someone has this trait, but it's also what brought us here today, which is sad. During her teen years, Anastasia was a bit of a rebel, and she did things that made her parents nervous. But what teen hasn't almost given their parents a heart attack at least once? Michal, Anastasia's boyfriend, and she met when they were both teens. That was back then, and now it's 13 years later, and they're still going strong. They really were the perfect pair. Their other dream was to visit the world together, so they made it their life's work to see as much as they could. And Michal and Anastasia couldn't stay away from each other. They were even thinking about getting married, but they hadn't made up their minds yet. In May 2023, Anastasia and Michal made the big decision to move to Greece. To start the next part of their lives, whether it was to buy a house together or get married, they wanted to work somewhere else to make more money. They finally settled down on the Greek island of Kos. They began working at a 5-star hotel in Marmari, Greece, which is a well-known tourist spot. As a hostess, Anastasia worked at the diner in the hotel. Not long before the terrible event, she had only worked there for a month. She was last seen a long time ago and was never seen again, not while they were living. In the evening of June 12, 2023, Anastasia was at the hotel as she did every day. She put on her uniform and went to work at the hotel kitchen for her shift. She burned her hand really badly during her shift, which was a shame. She was in a lot of pain, but she worked her shift. She hadn't eaten anything all day. Michal tried to make her eat, but she didn't want to. Instead, she wanted to drink to end the night. Michal was still at work, but Anastasia was done with her job. They had planned to meet up at a nearby bar for a quick date after work. Michal didn't think much of Anastasia's plan to leave for a short time to buy some drink. They would always buy alcohol at the nearby shops, sometimes together and sometimes by themselves. It wasn't something new then, but Anastasia would not be coming back this time. While he was working, Michal kept getting texts from Anastasia. She told him what she was doing, where she was, and other things. Since Michal was still at work, he found out that Anastasia was out having drinks with someone else. Then, around 10:30 p.m., Michal called her and asked if he could come get her. After that, Anastasia told him where she was and asked him to come get her because she didn't feel safe. Don't forget that Michal was at work. He would have to wait a long time to get to her. He didn't have to, though, because someone else offered to ride Anastasia home on his motorbike. When Michal heard about this news a few minutes later, it set him off right away because, stranger danger, he didn't want Anastasia to take any help from a stranger. However, Anastasia thought that no one could hurt her because she was kind and naive. Michal tried more than once to get Anastasia to stay with this stranger and wait for him instead, but she said it was okay. After that, Michal couldn't reach her for a while. After some time, Michal's phone rang again. This time, Anastasia sent him a location, then another, and then another, until Anastasia stopped talking at all. There were no more calls, texts, or anything else. Michal was really scared when he saw 3 places in just a few minutes. He called the cops and Anastasia's family back home right away. Everyone thought this was really strange. Michal was afraid for Anastasia's safety outside. The texts she sent about not feeling safe, followed by 3 different location messages, and one that said everything was fine, made Michal very uncomfortable. The Greek police started looking for the lost person right away, and luckily, they had a lot of information that could help them. But time was running out fast. There was a scary tone to Anastasia's text messages, but they weren't enough to figure out where she was. The police had no choice but to look through the surveillance footage of the place where Anastasia was meant to be. It was a nearby grocery store, and sure enough, Anastasia was seen by the fence, eating snacks and drinking wine. She was by herself at that point. When the police looked at the video more closely, though, they saw that Anastasia was joined by not 1, not 2, not even 3 guys. At first glance, these guys looked like they were from the area. They came with Anastasia to have fun. Now, different countries do different things, so wasn't this just a little strange? I'm not sure. It does feel a little strange, though. This event was also supported by several witnesses. At about 8:30 p.m., they saw the guys and Anastasia having a ball. After 2 hours, Anastasia sent that scary text message saying she was drunk and in danger and needed Michal to come get her. It scares me to think of Anastasia being alone and vulnerable in a place full of strange guys. It wasn't a surprise that she didn't feel safe. This is when the police saw something that made their blood run cold. They looked at even more CCTV video from the area. Do you remember the text message Anastasia sent to Michal? It said she would get a ride on a random guy's motorbike. She was seen leaving on the back of one of the 5 men's motorbikes, so each piece of this puzzle fit together just right. The agents knew Anastasia was in trouble and needed to find her quickly, so this new information was not good. The police got to work right away and quickly found out that the 5 guys who were with Anastasia that fateful night were from Bangladesh and Pakistan and were in the country illegally. a shop owner was able to identify the man who offered to drive Anastasia after asking other people in the area and witnesses about him. His name was Salahuddin S., and he was from Bangladesh. We don't know a lot about this Salahuddin guy right now. We have no idea what his last name is, but we do know that he is a strange person and that Anastasia was with him not long ago. She was no longer there. Based on what the shop owner told the police, Salahuddin had lived in Kos for a long time. He used to work in building developments, but he just recently lost his job. Things got even worse when detectives found out this person had a long past of crimes. Even though we don't know what happened, I think it's safe to say that Salahuddin is not someone you'd trust with your life, not even in clear daylight. So why did Salahuddin go up to Anastasia? Did the other guys have anything to do with where Anastasia went? Finally, where was Anastasia at this very moment? For all of these reasons, the cops had to get to work right away. The 5 men, including Salahuddin, were quickly on their radar. These 5 men were last seen with Anastasia, so you might think it would be hard for the police to find them in Kos. Luckily, it wasn't. Within hours, they were brought into the police station to be questioned. Of course, the police had a strong idea that these men had something to do with Anastasia's disappearance. When they saw the men in person, their worries grew even stronger. But I'm getting ahead of myself. First, the police asked the men if they were with Anastasia on June 12th evening. To everyone's surprise, the men said they had been talking to Anastasia. The guys said that they saw Anastasia clearly drunk and out of it at the bar. They helped her get home safely because they were kind people. They did a good thing and then just left. But the cops were not at all sure. To begin, Anastasia's boyfriend would not have reported her missing if she were at home. That's when it became very clear that Anastasia was still missing. It was the fact that Salahuddin had a lot of cuts and scratches on his face and arms that made the police even more suspicious. Another man's nose also had a scratch that could be seen. There was only one meaning here. There had been a fight. The men swore over and over that the scratches were just from an accident a few days ago that they couldn't explain, but the cops were not fooled. 6 guys saw a woman last, and she was last seen by these 5 men. She rode with one of the men on his motorbike, and now 2 of the 5 men had strange wounds that looked like they were from a fight. You should be able to figure it out. But the detectives couldn't just arrest these guys because they thought they were guilty. They needed more proof. But before letting the men go, the cops took DNA samples from them because they were still thought to be connected to Anastasia's disappearance. At the same time, Anastasia's family and friends were very worried about her. Her new life in Greece had just begun, but she was already gone. Going missing with a young woman is scary, but going missing on a different continent and not being able to get in touch with anyone is even scarier. Investigators were still looking for Anastasia on the ground and in the air. They even used sniffer dogs to help with the search. But after a few days, Anastasia was nowhere to be found. But the cops were able to find Anastasia's phone. Cell tower readings and Anastasia's location showed that her phone was on until 11:30 p.m. on the same night she went out for drinks. Cell towers stopped getting signs from her phone after that. The last place anyone knew where she was 5 kilometers from where Anastasia lived with her boyfriend. The agents were still determined to find Anastasia no matter what. Even though Anastasia hadn't been found yet, the police did discover something that made everyone worry even more about her safety. See, the cops and many people from the area were able to find a cell phone in an empty building near Marmari. It turned out to be Anastasia's, which was very sad. The SIM card had been taken out, GPS had been turned off, and all of the phone's info had been erased. Not a single call, message, or picture was on the phone. Everyone was afraid of the worst, even though it was a step in the right direction. Sure, Anastasia was gone, but now only her phone had been found. This can't be good. A huge search was done for Anastasia. There were a lot of people who stepped up to help the police look for her after they asked for help. But after 6 days of looking for Anastasia, the search came to an abrupt end when a helper named Anna found out the scary news. The search began in the Tigaki area on June 18th. This area had salt marshes and large fields. Anna looked around the area around a big tree and saw some strange piles of straw. When she used her cane to poke the lump, she knew something very bad was going on. As the straw was taken out, a plastic bag could be seen. She then called the rest of the volunteers and the cops over. It was awful for everyone to open this bag, and when they did, they were shocked, terrified, and disgusted. The naked body of a woman was found in the plastic bag, and it didn't take a mind to figure out that the killer had killed her with his bare hands. The inspectors also saw something very strange and scary. The killer clearly tried to hide the body so that it couldn't be identified. The fingerprints of the victim couldn't even be used to find them. Why? That's why the body didn't have any. It's hard to believe what Anastasia went through in the hours before she died. All this young woman did was be in the wrong place at the wrong time. She did not deserve any of this. It goes without saying that Anastasia's body was identified as soon as the cops found it and brought it in. As of now, her case had changed from a missing person to a murder. She had been lost for less than a week. Anastasia's death was very sad. She had to deal with the worst for who knows how long, and to make things even worse, she was used, which is sad. When her family heard this terrible news, it broke their hearts. The pain their daughter had been through was unbearable. Someone struck their sweet, positive, and smart young girl in a brutal way, just as she was about to start a new life and make it her own. Even though Anastasia's death was sad, the agents now had proof they needed. There was finally proof to finally convict whoever did this to her. And that's also when the police learned something. Something was about to blow the case wide open and make sure that one man would not be harmed. An odd thing about the place where Anastasia's body was found was that it was only 1 kilometer from the home of a significant other. You would have been right if you thought it was Salahuddin's house. The police were even more sure that Salahuddin, or at least one of the men, was responsible for Anastasia's sad and horrible death. They had to handcuff this monster and make him pay for what he did to poor Anastasia. When the body of Anastasia was found, Salahuddin was arrested right away on suspicion of murder. This time, Salahuddin changed his story, which is a common sign of a suspect. Salahuddin forgot all about helping a drunk woman get home, and he told Anastasia that he and she had a nice time at his apartment. He still denied killing Anastasia and swore he didn't know anything about her death, even though his story had changed a lot from before. That is, until the police searched Salahuddin's room. There, in his flat, they were able to find blonde hair, a blouse with red stains all over it, and an orange sweatshirt. The hair and stains on the shirt definitely matched Anastasia's DNA, which was sad. Things got violent while she was in Salahuddin's room. You can tell that Anastasia fought for her life until the very end because of the wounds and scratches on Salahuddin and the marks on his friend's face. If you are still not sure that Salahuddin didn't kill Anastasia, this next part will prove it beyond a doubt. The search history on Salahuddin's phone, which was taken away after he was arrested, gave the police chills. Salahuddin looked for disturbing things like how to delete data from a phone, how to confuse the police, and how to make it impossible to identify a body. I don't know what else would say guilty. There's more, though. A plane ticket to Italy was found in Salahuddin's room when the police searched it. He was leaving without telling any of his friends or even his roommates. The date he was leaving was the same day he was arrested. This person almost got away. When Salahuddin was brought to court, he naturally said he was not guilty. The prosecution said in court that they thought Salahuddin tricked Anastasia into coming to his house and tortured her in the worst way possible. The scratches on the other guy's nose make it very likely that the rest of Salahuddin's men were involved. Even though Anastasia fought hard to stay alive, she lost. In the end, she was killed by animals and her body was dumped near the Tagaki Beach area. He was given a life sentence in jail on December 6, 2024, after being found guilty of manslaughter with intent. While Anastasia was being sentenced, her dad, Andrzej, told the press, "This punishment will not bring Anastasia back, but he got what he deserved. He should never get out of jail or hurt anyone again." The death and disappearance of Anastasia made headlines all over the world for a long time. Everyone was furious that a man with a past of crime was free to walk the beautiful and touristy streets of Kos. It made women all over the world afraid for their lives. From what we know, Salahuddin was the only one who was found guilty of killing Anastasia. Because there isn't a lot of information about this case, it's hard to say if any of the other guys were found guilty of killing Anastasia, or even if they were proven to have helped do it. The sentence of Salahuddin was both sad and happy for Anastasia's family. In one case, Adrian, Anastasia's brother, asked to be left alone with the person who killed his sister for 10 minutes so that he could, quote, finish him. We don't agree with this behavior, but I think we can all understand where the hurt and anger are coming from. Adrian didn't expect to find out that his sister was gone. She died for no reason at all. She didn't make anyone angry. She was outside by herself and at risk. That's true, but does anyone voluntarily seek out trouble? Her only goal was to have a drink after a terrible workday. I hope Anastasia's family is getting over this quickly. What happened to her is so terrible that I don't even know how to use the word disaster to describe it. This really was hell. Anastasia died after only 27 years, when she still had a lot of life to live. Thanks for watching. If this case struck a chord with you, be sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more true crime documentaries. Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective matters. Until next time, stay aware, stay safe,